Hello guys, Davinator right here, and today we are continuing my horror film review sprees, so it's called apparently, with a movie that actually did genuinely scare me. Now we are getting into some stuff that's seriously pretty creepy. The Conjuring came out in 2013, and at the end of this review, I am very briefly going to touch on the movie Annabelle. That'll be like my little mini review within the Conjuring review, and so you can get my thoughts on that because it is a spin-off of the Conjuring, and I don't want to take up an entire video talking about Annabelle, because it is very little for me to talk about, like at all, for that movie. But anyway, yeah, let's get to this movie. Now, this movie is about the investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, and John Livingston, who plays a dad, and Lily Taylor, who plays a mom. They have 5 daughters, and they moved to this big new house. They got a deal on it, and it would normally be expensive, but they got it for a great deal, and it's pretty cheap. And so they moved to this house, and of course, ghostly and demonic type things start to happen, and some creepy things start to occur, and so they call Ed and Lorraine Warren and try to get them to come to their house, and they begrudgingly go to their house because they always go to houses very skeptical, because very rarely do, houses or places that they're supposed to investigate actually have demons or ghosts or whatever. But they start to suspect, like, no, there's more going on than we may think. And then a bunch of scary stuff happens, and this is a genuinely scary movie. I was scared watching this movie. Like, the only thing that detracts from the scares in this movie is the trailer. The trailer spoils pretty much, like, at least a good 70-80% of the scares in the first half of the movie. The last half of the movie, or the latter half of the movie, I guess, grammar. The latter half of the movie is pretty much completely out of the trailers in regards to scares, and the latter half, I was really like, ooh. It got pretty scary. But the first half, I was still on edge, leading up to those moments that were in the trailer that I knew were coming. I was like, oh crap, this part's gonna be creepy still, even though I know it's coming. But still, it would have been a lot scarier if the trailers kept almost all the scares out of the movie, or out of the trailer. However, the scares in the first 5 minutes of the movie are out of the trailer, and so that really creeped me out. But anyway, sorry. Moving on. So yeah, let's actually talk about the movie and not just the trailer, because I'm sure you all know by now, like, the trailer kind of spoiled some of the scares of the movie, if you've seen the movie. But anyways, now, as the acting. The acting is great. Like, Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, Lily Taylor, all great in the movie. John Livingston wasn't great, but he was okay. He was fine. He didn't hurt the film at all. He was a little bit of a generic, bland dad character that you see in a lot of movies like this, but he wasn't bad at all. He was okay. But yeah, his just kind of performance is completely made up for by Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, and Lily Taylor's performances. They were great in the movie, like really good. Like, I'm talking like great performances, especially Patrick Wilson. He was just terrific. So my favorite character in the movie, probably Lorraine Warren, played by Vera Farmiga. She was just cool. Like, she's this clairvoyant, and she can, like, see into the spirit world to a slight extent, and it's pretty cool what she can do. And yeah, overall, this film is very interesting. I like the story as they're trying to figure out certain things that are going on. Like, you're like, okay, come on, what's going on? Like, you're trying to investigate. It gets pretty interesting. And yeah, again, this movie is genuinely scary. At least to me, it scared me. I was very much so on the edge of my seat in the latter half of the movie. There were parts where I was like, I don't know if I want to look now. But I didn't look away while watching the movie. I don't do that in movies, but still, there are a couple parts where I almost did, but still. It's a very intense, suspenseful film. Also, the 5 kid actors in the movie, all of them are really good. Except for maybe the very youngest one, but even she actually wasn't that bad. I'd say she was, like, above average for a kid her age. It's just, like, where all the other kid actors were just straight up great. The youngest one was like, kind of okay-ish. But, yeah, still, all the acting in the movie overall is just really great. And, yeah, so the story's interesting, it's scary. Let's see. The characters themselves are quite likable as well. They're well written. There's some decent dialogue at times. There are a couple parts to where, like, a character will just randomly say something that is like a 70s reference. They're like, oh yeah, groovy, man. And it just feels kind of out of place because the majority of the movie they don't use that type of language. But then all of a sudden, when they do resort to 70s language, because the movie is set in 1971, I believe, yeah, or maybe 1972, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But yeah, when they do actually resort to language like that, it's like, that was a little bit stilted and awkward, but I don't know, whatever. It's still kind of funny to hear that kind of language used in a movie made nowadays, because I don't know, because I'm not used to hearing people yell, yeah, groovy, man, or something like that, but whatever, still, it felt kind of awkward. But still, I do quite enjoy this movie. I think it's really good, and I'm going to give it an A minus. Now, as for the gore rating that I would give it, it's not a violent film at all. I'd give it a little blood, or 2 out of 7. It's just, yeah, just a tiny bit of blood here. The movie's not rated R because it's bloody, or gory, or profane, or has nudity. It's just rated R because the MPAA thought it was too scary. Which is pretty interesting. That doesn't happen that often. I thought that was kind of cool. But anyway, guys, if you like this video, please rate and comment and subscribe. And if you want to, you can also share. Get out of my face.